Thank you all for coming today, and let me start by saying I'm Bianca Xoyamayagua-Galvan, so I'm a friend of Selena's, and she's asked me to introduce her today, which I'm very honored to do. So first, just want to say thank y'all for coming out, especially with the weather. It's been so crazy, and you never know if you're going to be rained on or need to throw on a sweater or a jacket. You just can't decide. So thank you so much for being here. So I have a few notes. But I met Selena in middle school. We went to high school together, so we went to Lhasa High School together, and we've remained good friends since. So it's such an honor to have known Selena and see all of her transformation and everything that she's accomplished so far, and it's very inspiring. Selena is one of those people that you always knew was going to do big things, and from a very young age. And if you know anything about her amazing family, and her amazing family's here, then you know it's just in the DNA to do great things. So she's very driven. She graduated from Lhasa High School, as I said, which is one of the top high schools in the nation. And she graduated from Northwestern University with a degree in engineering and management, with honors, by the way. And then she went to work for big corporate companies like Motorola, Google, and others. So she's had a lot of experience and accomplished a lot. But she also wanted more out of life. She loves to travel, she's a free spirit, and she's always had a lot of interest in Zen and Taoist philosophies. So I think the Zen and Taoist philosophies, you kind of know that from Selena too, because anytime you come into contact with her, she exudes radiance, she's very calm, she has the biggest smile, and doesn't know a stranger. So you just feel at peace and really great when you're around Selena, which is wonderful. So during her many travels around the world, and specifically Asia, she began writing and self-published her first book, Meditative Questions. And not only self-published, started her own publishing company, which is just amazing because, how many people do that, start their own publishing company? And then she wrote a second book, which is Unbreakable, which is a collection of poems, and she did that while she was attending a Muay Thai camp in Thailand. So martial arts, writing, author, traveling, working. She does literally everything. She's a superstar. And then now she's written her third book, which we're here today to hear her speak about, which is Get Free, 7 Simple Steps to Free Your Mind and Live Your Dreams. So I'm simply amazed, but not at all surprised by how much Selena's accomplished, and I know she's gonna accomplish so much more. I always joke with her, you're gonna be the next Oprah, and probably like Oprah / Deepak Chopra. So it's my pleasure to introduce my friend, author, owner of Zen Tao Books Publishing, world traveler, and entrepreneur, Selena Sage.
When you do an event like this, it requires so many people. So I just want to thank my parents for providing the snacks, Bianca for the beautiful, wonderful introduction. I'm so thankful to have friends like you. For everyone who's here and helped unload the car, and Carlos who's doing our video. It's really much appreciated, and everything comes together to do these events. It's not a one-person show. So as we get started, I typically like to start with a Qigong meditation exercise to center us in the moment and to bring peace and calm to our previously exhilarating pace of getting set up. So I invite you to close your eyes. And the way this exercise will work is that you'll take a very deep breath in through your nose. You'll hold your breath for as long as you can, and then you'll release forcefully when you can't hold your breath anymore. So we're just going to do this 3 times. So we're going to inhale, hold your breath. When you can't hold anymore, release through your mouth. Whenever you're done, you can open your eyes, but you can continue on if you'd like. Great. So in this moment, in this space of now, I really would like to invite you to be very present in this moment and in this space, and leave your mind behind for a second. What do I mean by that? I mean, imagine yourself free of every worry, every stress, every concern. You can close your eyes too if you'd like, up to you. Every concern, every worry about the future, regret or disappointment or hurt about the past, any stress, everything you imagine yourself to be, all of the good and all of the bad. Just free yourself from that for a moment. Just leave that at the door. And imagine that you're just in this space, free of all your worries, all your cares, all your concerns, all your anxieties, all your stress. And just imagine that you're free, completely free of all of those things. Feel that spaciousness of being in that zone where you don't have any worries and you don't have any stress. All of the hurt, anger, disappointments from the past are gone. Just for a moment, we just leave that at the door. And I imagine you to visualize yourself without all of those things. What do you see? Do you see space? Do you see light? Do you see emptiness? Do you see fullness? Without all of those cares, those worries, those concerns, what's left? Just enjoy being in that space for just one more moment. I think it's a beautiful place. And if you want to just indicate by raising your hand, most people's eyes are closed. Raise your hand if you see emptiness. Raise your hand if you see light. If you see a full space or an empty space. Beautiful. Thank you. So, that was a brief meditation and understanding your true self. And your true self is something that I've been on an exploration and journey with the Zen Master Mooji in Portugal to experience more about, and the best way that I can explain it, because it's never something you can describe, it's only something you can experience, but it is your truest self without all of the things we put on in our personal experience. Without all of those stressors, worries, things that we imagine ourselves to be, the things that we think about, our profession, where we live, our family, all of these ideas of identity they tend to be wrapped up into our perception of who we really are. But who we really are is that light, that space, that openness that you can experience simply by dropping everything that really isn't you. The things that we tell ourselves we are typically the identity of our person, and all of those aspects are the same things that cause us stress and worry, but also happiness and joy. In the world of duality, you always get both. So in the experience of peace and presence and freedom, it really is about the letting go. It is about the dropping of all of those things that are not truly us. And this is kind of a profound thing to say, and I appreciate you experiencing, the invitation to have that moment of feeling yourself without all of those things that we tend to put on every day when we wake up. We wake up and we think, immediately of the things we have to do, the things we believe ourselves to be, our responsibilities, all of those things become our sense of identity. And so, as I explored the notion of freedom, I actually wrote 3 books. The first has been published, which is Get Free, that I'll talk a little bit about today. But I did want to mention that there are 3 books that I wrote actually last October when I was in Thailand again. And the 3 books are Get Free, Live Free, and Break Free. And it's about the full journey that I've experienced of how to achieve freedom. And so Get Free, I think, is really fundamental because it requires, I think the first step of freedom requires you to have a mindset that is open enough to try things like we just did with the invitation and give yourself space and opportunity to be more in your spirit space rather than your personal space. And Live Free was a big part of my journey. I'm not sure if Bianca mentioned it or not, but I actually currently live in Africa, as most of you probably know, in Cape Verde, islands off the western coast of Africa. So Live Free was really tied around my journey to live there and how that really opened up new space for me. And Break Free is about this spiritual process of awakening or enlightenment that allows you to just drop everything and be in that full space of freedom. So we'll start with Get Free though. And I thought I'd open the discussion about freedom with the introduction that I wrote in Get Free. So this is the first time I've done an event where I've actually done a reading. So this is new. So the intro is freedom. I believe that freedom is marked by certain feelings. When one feels free, one's breath comes easier, and there is a certain lightness, joy, and expansiveness to one's being. What does freedom mean to you? I'll pause and allow you to think about that for a moment. What does freedom mean to you? No pressure. To me, freedom is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it. It is a boundless gift, marked by health and happiness. Freedom is living in the moment and truly enjoying it. In this space, there's no stress about the past or anxiety about the future. Free moments are marked by peace. I believe that true freedom is our birthright, and that all of our deepest dreams are possible. The only necessary ingredient is our belief, which always inspires the necessary actions. I ended up on my own freedom-seeking path 3 years ago after walking away from a lucrative career in corporate America, getting rid of everything I owned, and moving to a remote island off the western coast of Africa. This all happened because of a decision, but that decision was inspired by a deep yearning for freedom that allowed me to give up everything in the process. What I gained was more peace and freedom than I'd ever imagined, and the natural result is that I've been inspired to share my process to help others feel that too. Get Free focuses on the mindset that is required to be free, but it also includes practical steps for the modern world that set the stage to live your life on your terms. As with everything you will get from this book or this talk and what you give, I wish you blissful peace and I wish you freedom. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to move away from the podium because I want to be connected with you all. But freedom, I think, is a notion that we have, it's very individual. For some, freedom means the ability to do whatever it is that you want to do. That's me. But to others, freedom means a happy family and a fulfilled life. The definition varies. But I submit to you that your freedom, if it's dependent on someone else and someone else's actions, then it's not truly your freedom, because you cannot control those actions or attitudes, get a little water, or responses from other people. Freedom is totally self-driven, self-directed. self-directed. So as you think about your journey and all the things that you would like to do in life and accomplish and all the things you might think about having, I would say the place to start is to know that it is all possible. We are infinite beings with infinite potential. And so if you do not have the belief that it is possible, then it won't happen. It's just simple as that. But if you believe it, I think automatically you move forward and you find steps that you would need to take to achieve whatever goal you would like to have. And I think that I've been blessed in my life to have all of these wonderful experiences and to have been able to travel to so many places in the world and meet so many wonderful people just to come back and share it and to remind us all that it's possible and to know that if I can do it, everyone can do it. There's nothing that I would say is super special about me other than the fact that perhaps I'm brave enough to do things and try things and travel places and meet people and do things. And that's completely available to all of you. It's nothing that I think I have a secret recipe for. It's really just the belief, and it's the courage to step out there. And I like to say this Zen saying that I love is leap and the net will appear. And so often I think we are afraid to leap because we want the net to be there. So we're looking over the cliff, we're checking, is there a net? Will I be safe? No, there's no net, I can't jump. And so often we stay stuck in place because we're looking for a net that actually requires our belief that it's going to be there. If we don't believe that it's there, it won't be there. So leap and the net will appear, to me, really says you're not going to have all of the answers. You won't be 100% sure. You will have some doubt. You'll have some fear. You'll have some moments of perhaps crisis and breakdown, like I did in the closet when I was packing up all of my things in LA and moving to Africa with 2 suitcases and wondering what was I going to do with all of this stuff that I eventually just gave away. Clothes and shoes and so many things. And that moment that I had, that indecision, that doubt, that fear, I'm thankful that I was able to push past that and continue forward, because so often we get stuck. We get stuck in that place of fear, in that place of doubt. Everything is going to go wrong, so we shouldn't even try. We should just stay where we think we're safe, where we think we're comfortable, where we think we're protected. But the reality is, that's not you living a full life. Living a full life requires letting go of all of those things that are keeping you stuck. For me, it happened to be literal things. I had cars and clothes and so many things that I just couldn't imagine. What am I going to do with all this stuff? It was through letting go of all of those things that I was able to have the space and the freedom to move across the world and to travel around the world, as I've been doing for many years, but exclusively for the last 4 years. A lot of nomadic life. I've actually been traveling for the last 13 months. So that reality I could not have imagined. But it required me to let go of all of the things that were keeping me in the place that I was at. And that's a hard thing to wrap our minds around sometimes, because we think, well, my car is my safety net, I need my car, or I need these clothes, I don't know when I'm going to need to wear them, but I need to have it. And it's easy to just hold on to things. And so in Get Free, I talk about the importance of letting go and how it's really required to move forward with your dreams. You have to let go of limiting beliefs that tell you it's not possible. You have to let go of well-meaning friends and relatives who will tell you, don't do it. You will damage your future if you do this. You have to let that go, because they are saying it out of love. But if you want to live a full life, you have to really embrace the dream and the idea of freedom that you may not have experienced yet, that it's out there, it's possible, and it's waiting for you. So I think as you're moving forward in whatever it is you think you want to do, I recommend go for it. Try it. In Get Free, I also talk about the importance of passion projects. Even if you have a full-time job, it doesn't mean that you have to quit and move to an island like I did. You can start in your spare time, as I did with my first book, Meditative Questions. I started writing it when I was still in corporate America. And this book actually was something that these questions came to me during different parts of my journey around Asia. So I was in Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, and Bali. And after I looked at all of these questions I've compiled, I thought I need to make this into a book. And even while I was working full-time, I started the publishing company, I hired a graphic design team. I was fortunate to find an amazing printer in Hong Kong who put the book together, and literally 6 months later, I had my books. So there's no, and I thought that was a long time. I thought 6 months, so long. But then people who were like, it's been 10 years and I still haven't published my book. And I thought, okay, maybe 6 months is pretty good. So anything is possible, and I did it while I was working full time, and people ask how I did that. And the reality is there's usually never a good time to focus 100% on your dream. So if you just do one thing per day, or even start with one thing per week to move you forward with your dream, you will find that in the space of weeks or months, as I did, you will accomplish what you thought you needed to have dedicated time to finish. So I highly recommend taking baby steps, work through small pieces of your goal, and recognize that those small steps here and there will ultimately come together to be what you imagined, or even more. And Unbreakable, just take a moment to introduce my books. And I should actually open Meditative Questions so you can see the format. So the book is made up of a page of color and a question for reflection. So I'll just use this random one. Think of your conversation. Do you talk more about the past, the future, or the present? So this book is really meant to be experiential, that you reflect on that question. And to me, the heart of that question, there's no right or wrong answer to any of the questions in the book, but this question reminds me that life is happening now. And even though we might sometimes reflect on the past or consider the future, those things aren't wrong. If you live there, if you live in the past, usually depression is a result, because either you wanted to go back to that state of what you had in the past, or you wish that you were living a different present. So living in the past can be a bit dangerous sometimes. And if you're living in the future, often that comes with a lot of anxiety. The future has a lot of questions. How will I get there? What's next? What do I do? How do I prepare? Those aren't bad questions, but if you live in that space of constant worry about the future, anxiety is the result. So if you live in the moment, in the space of now, as we did with that Qigong exercise, for me that exercise always brings me into a peaceful place, because that's now, that's the present. So Unbreakable is a book of poetry that I had not originally planned to publish. I sent it to a number of friends. It was a project that I didn't see coming. I never wrote poetry before, but after I was on the Muay Thai camp and when I got back to Africa, I just had literally 36 hours where poems were coming out of me. And I was writing them down, I couldn't sleep, and it was just a process that I didn't expect. And so the result was this book of poetry that only includes the poems that I wrote in those 36 hours. And I had so many friends that were just telling me, okay, you have to publish this, you have to publish it. You really, I need to send this to 3 girlfriends, please put it out. And the reason for that is I think Unbreakable is a very honest look at life. probably heavily focused on relationships because I was ending a I just ended a relationship at the time, but more about life and about moving through the different phases of life and being in a space of freedom. So the poems are quite short. I can read one. So this one is called Boundaries. Ooh. What is the point where you're sure you've had enough? How long will you let him set the boundaries before you decide for yourself it is time to go? And even though that's him, it can be her, or it can be you. Are you setting boundaries on yourself? Are you accepting situations that are unacceptable? Are you staying in spaces and places where you're not appreciated, where you're unhappy, where you're uncomfortable? So when do you decide for yourself that it is time to go? A little taste of a break. So the books are a reflection of the journey that I've been on, and I can only say that I feel supremely blessed and fortunate not only to have such a wonderful family, many of whom are here today, friends, in fact, teachers from high school and elementary school that are here. It is a tremendous honor to have a moment to share a bit of my journey and a bit of the taste of freedom that I've experienced. But